Chapter 2, The Kill. It was not yet 0 hour for the transfer. Previously it was God, now human beings will be killed. What? Astonished at Hifumi's sudden violence, the remaining 2 gods were frozen in shock. Though it seems like an abduction, I am exceedingly happy about it. Hifumi said without meeting the 2 silent gods' gazes. For the very first time, a living person. Whether a god can be called a living being is debatable. I killed it. I feel very good. The desire to take a life increases as one walks the path of martial arts. The more one kills, the more their skill improves. A world of swords and magic? Demons exist. People that may deprive you of your life. One can say that a person's life has more value in Japan. If I have a reason, I will kill. There was no blood on the blade, but Hifumi shook the sword anyway. From where the magical formation was touching, his feet were slowly becoming transparent. Apparently this takes a while. But, do we allow this fellow to just go as he pleases? The beard-stroking god seems to have settled down, but the god of martial arts hadn't regained his cool. Ah well, we have no way to do anything. Although he killed a god, the transfer has begun, we just can't do anything now. While the gods were conversing, Hifumi's waist had started to disappear. Hey gods. What? We'll meet again. I will take many lives there, fill the world with fear. I will come back much stronger. First I will deal with the people that called me, forcibly ignoring my intentions. I dislike people who try to manipulate me. Hifumi felt a very large power whirl through him. The power to kill. Feeling better, he breathed out slowly. I will change that world according to my morals. Though it may be the dream of a fool. I will ransack that world with my power, and find a way to get back. I'm sure I'll find something in that worthless world. What? Well then. Leaving behind a smile that brought a chill to even the gods' spines, Hifumi disappeared from this world. We may have unexpectedly sent off a terrible person. The moment when the transfer was completed, the unsheathed katana pointed at a girl in front of Hifumi. Was I summoned? Hifumi snarled, eyeing the girl coldly. You bastard. What do you think you're doing? With the girl clearly not understanding what had occurred, the knight suddenly yelled angrily. Contrasting to them, Hifumi was observing his surroundings icily. The 6 knights gradually enclosed Hifumi, nudging him with their spears. Hayu. The girl finally noticed the katana pointed at her. Her expression changed from perplexed to frightened. You are rude. Do you know whom you're speaking to? No. Answer me. Did you summon me? He replied, carelessly disregarding the spear-wielding knight's angry words. You. Speak slowly. If the blade slips carelessly, you will die. Ugu. Looking over the knights and the girl expectantly, Hifumi got no answers. If the knights step forward by only half a step, the sword will slip and the girl dies. Hiro-sama. It is I who have summoned you, it is not a mistake. Who are you, what do you want from me? I am the first princess of the Orson Grande Empire, Imeraria Tori Orson Grande. Attempting to meet eyes with Hifumi but failing, she started stuttering due to fear. Our country has become impoverished due to the brutal fight against the demi-humans. So we reproduced this summoning magic according to the ancient texts. Since it is a secret art that only a person of royal blood can execute, since only those of the royal bloodline are gifted with a large amount of mana, I was ordered to summon Hiro-sama. I see, summoning a hero to fight against evil happens in the fantasy genre often. And thus, ordered to. Then, who is the initiator of this ritual? That is. Princess Imeraria clearly saw the color of anger in Hifumi's eyes, and was worried about telling him. But Hifumi could guess it easily. It's the king, isn't it? Only someone above the rank of first princess can order you. Though it might be the queen too. If they are your parents, it makes sense that you are carrying out this duty. Ah. Imeraria opened her eyes wide and looked quite flustered. The man in front of her eyes was not some hero fighting for some sense of justice, not caring for authority or power, but an extremely dangerous person. And no, it's different. This. How old? Your age. 14 years old. Puzzled momentarily by the question, she answered in a hurry. Is that so? Hifumi moved his sword away, just a little. In truth, he holds to some standards, one of them being, up to junior high school level, the parents should take responsibility for their children's actions. Besides, criminals do not have human rights and don't pay attention to religious fanatics and educators, are unsuitable for the laws and customs of Japan, because of which Hifumi had accumulated stress and impatience. Then, the ones that should be killed are your parents, huh? At that instant, Hifumi turned and swung his katana. The surprise attack aimed at a gap in the neck of the knight's armor struck true, and the knight collapsed, unable to make a sound, blood gushing from his neck. Emitting bloodthirst so wildly, it's unpleasant, you know. Amateur. Instantly, the katana returned to Imeraria's throat. Exactly to the same place, as though it had not moved away at all. With merely one slash, the knights froze in shock, feeling weak at the knees. Within this castle, the ones attending the ritual were the elite of the elite practitioners in the country. However, none of them were able to even see the sword's path. Furthermore, they didn't even notice when the katana had left Imeraria's throat. Watching Hifumi's swordsmanship, the knights' shock increased. The swords and spears they use are heavily made and are used to cut using the weight and power. Apart from the thin clothes Imeraria was wearing for the ritual, they didn't think Hifumi's thin katana could damage their armor. For Hifumi, it was common sense to aim at the vital points of an opponent on the battlefield, but due to the difference in cultures, they were unable to understand. The dead knight's corpse proved that the ability that killed him was definitely that of a hero level. You bastard! An enraged knight roars angrily, unable to step forward. Comparatively, Hifumi was very calm. Come forward if you want to die. I have business with this woman. Hifumi calmly provoked them, lowering his katana. At that instant, the 5 remaining knights charged together. Diversion method, Hifumi muttered while turning his body to slide past a knight, using the knight's own momentum to move past him. Another knight's spear stabbed into the knight that replaced the lightly moving Hifumi's position. Gwa. Gaha. Though most of the damage is resisted by the armor, the spear pierced through the joints, the other's neck was split by Hifumi's katana. The light left the eyes of knight whose movement was restrained by stabbing his colleague and he died. 2 people are instantly killed. To recover the situation, the remaining 3 knights took some distance. Weak. Hifumi spat in disgust. Knights of the castle? I thought you'd be able to resist for longer. Then this. Goo. Had enough yet? You bastard, you are nothing. Their strength as knights was dominated by Hifumi, no longer able to protect the princess. Simultaneously piercing and stabbing, Hifumi passed by the 3 knights as though he was taking a light stroll. The first knight had a spear protruding from his throat, the second had his spine slashed and the third was killed by Hifumi roundhouse kicking a knife into him, burying it up to the hilt. I dunno where the heck this knife came from, it's over. Hifumi declared disdainfully, turning the katana dripping with blood towards Princess Imeraria again. Imeraria, who had absolute confidence in the strength of the Imperial Knights, watched as the knights sank in a sea of blood in the blink of an eye. It was unbelievable. Now, shall I have you guide me to your parents? Hifumi unconcernedly said, sheathing his sword after killing everyone. Guided by the princess, he walked within the castle. Servants and knights stared at them from a distance, but none called out to them. Seeing the haggard princess and the young man, no one was able to understand the situation. The room in which Hifumi was summoned, containing the corpses of the knights, had been locked and they left, and no one knew what had transpired there. Servants are not allowed access, they only know that some important things are done within that room. A splendid building. Looks quite similar to images of castles of the West that I saw on the net before. Hifumi gathered information by looking around while moving. These servant-like fellows, are they wearing hemp clothes? Is the cultural level still that of the Middle Ages equivalent? Though Imeraria's clothes seem to be of fine make. While walking, Hifumi suddenly decided to try out the darkness magic attribute he received prior to the transfer. He predicted that the sense of incongruity within his body after the transfer might be mana. On letting an image float to his mind and concentrating the mana, something like black mist formed over his left hand. So this is dark magic. Remembering a previously read novel, he solidified the image for the magic. In front of him floated a black circle about 20 centimeters in diameter. Hifumi tried to insert his sword in it. It seems possible to put it in. Putting his right hand behind his back, Hifumi concentrated on the image and gripped the sword from the dark interior. He could clearly feel the contours of the sword fit his hand. Retrieval is possible even if I can't see it. Really, this shouldn't be able to be done. While experimenting, Hifumi walked on noiselessly. Imeraria, timidly walking with heels clacking, was putting her whirling thoughts in order. Should I take him to the king? Or should I take him to some other place after all? Then what do I do after taking him elsewhere? When he knows he's been deceived, then what? Assuming I'll be killed, what then? In the end, someone in the castle can seize him, but eventually might reach father's place after struggling. Why do I have to do such a thing? Imeraria muttered inaudibly. Her quiet companion seems to have heard her. Such a reason, only you will have the answer. Imeraria turned around instinctively on hearing that. Whether you did something out of malice, or out of profit, whether someone was grateful for it or was wounded by it, none of that matters. The only fact is that there will be a consequence. Another thought rose up in his mind. All actions bounce back on oneself. In such a situation, the reason is insignificant, only actions matter. While Hifumi's words disturbed Princess Imeraria, they had arrived at the entrance of the throne room already. The king, waiting impatiently for the hero's visit. Not knowing anything, a knight received them smilingly. Princess, this man. Yes, I will conduct introductions to father. Please open the door. On reaching here, Imeraria had resolved on one thing. Her words to the knight, different from before, had calmed down. In the audience chamber, the king was sitting on a raised platform, with the queen and prince on his sides, with knights and civil officials on both sides of the chamber. Storing his katana in the dark hole, Hifumi casually followed Imeraria into the chamber. 5 meters in front of the king, Imeraria halted. Hifumi was standing behind her in a bad mood. Some people raised their eyebrows due to Hifumi not kneeling, but he didn't care. When Imeraria bowed, the king opened his mouth. Imeraria, is this person a hero? But it was not the princess that answered. Nope, I am not a hero. Hifumi said while looking the king in the eye. I may be rude. I'll speak plainly. An approximately 50-year-old man, seemingly a civil officer with a splendid mustache, shouted, completely ignoring Hifumi. This woman did the summoning, dragging out this pitiful victim from a different world by force. Pulled out from the dark hole, the katana shone with an uncanny light. This crime, make up for it with your life. With a cold light in his eyes, Hifumi sneered.